You're all set, Joe.
Thank you, James.
You're welcome.
Okay. Call the meeting of the Town Hall Renovation and Project Building Committee to order. Mr. Barron, would you take the roll, please?
Yes, I will. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, very good. Members are asked to signify their presence when their name is called. Councilor Bedrejko. Councilor Minor.
Here.
Mr. Claffey. Mr. Mortensen.
He's here, but he's muted. Roger,
Mr. Mortensen is here, but he's muted. All right, Mr. Murtha.
I'll unmute him. No, I can't. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Mr. Murtha is also here, but he is also muted. Mr. Woods.
Here.
Mr. Harpy.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay. Do we have those two gentlemen unmuted? Mr. Mortensen?
Yeah, we have both.
Okay, thank you.
Jeff, for the record, Councilor Bedrejko is here as well.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion of approval of the prior meeting minutes of September 2nd.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Murtha.
Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passed unanimously. Public participation. Any member of the public wishing to speak, please go through the process. Do we have anyone this evening, James?
We have Barbara. I know most of the time she tends to listen instead of comment, but we'll give her a moment if she'd like to raise her hand in the participants window, or if she's on her phone with *9.
Yeah.
No response at this time.
Okay, we'll move on then. Project update. Frank from Downs.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Going back to the last committee meeting on September 2nd, the total amount under approved changes totaled $943,080.19, which brought our contract value to $28,704,069.19. And between the pending and approximate changes that I have in our system right now, total $23,699.66. And if we drew a line in the sand today and had no more changes, would adjust our contract value to $28,727,768.85. Within the CM contingency, so we started with $831,809. Based on what was approved from the last committee meeting, that totals $560,392.88. The pending COPs, we have $20,367.37, and that would leave us with $251,048.75, and that is, of course, included in our base GMP. And if we could scroll down. Within the owner's contingency, so based on the last meeting, we've got $805,522.11 approved. Between all of the pending changes that I've prepared, we've got 9 COPs that we're presenting this evening, and it's a net add of $2,640.66. We've got other COPs that we're working on behind the scenes. We've got actually 9 that we're working on that total $21,057. And we factor those in with the pending ones this evening. That would leave us with $39,185.23 in the owner's contingency. Soft costs, I have not tracked anything over the life of this project. I'm still showing the $1,706,810 in soft costs. And that would leave us with a overall project budget of $30,473,764.08. That does not include any of the CIP funds. That was outside of the project. Any questions on that?
So Frank, it's Joe. We have roughly a little better than $290,000 in contingency between the two of us.
Correct, yeah, between the CM contingency and the owner's contingency. Yep, that's correct.
Are there any questions of Frank, please? Okay, Frank, move on, please.
Okay, we'll jump into schedule next, giving you a snapshot here, starting with some of the work that we've recently completed, starting in the gym. So we've got the flooring complete now. The seal coating's been done, the line striping is done. The bleachers, I'm gonna say, are like 99% complete. We've got a few pieces that I'm gonna say are back order right now. Some trim pieces, I think those are a few days away from seeing those. We've got a motor. Well, there's one bank of bleachers on I believe it's the southeast corner of the gymnasium. We've got one motor that needs to be replaced. One particular bank on the southeast corner isn't going all the way to the wall. So we're waiting for that. The divider is in. We did have a TCO inspection a couple days ago. The inspector did flag some items relative to the divider having to do with ADA compliance for the door handles. So we are discussing our options with the divider manufacturer. We are adding some signage. I believe we just got some signs in, and we'll be posting those over the next couple days. Within the Parks and Rec kitchen, there's nothing that I'm aware of that we have left to do other than get the piece of paper to make a final turnover there. We just need the TCO from the building department, but we did have an inspection and we don't have any issues there. Phase 2 abatement. So we've got a report back that all the ACM has been removed. We did get that confirmed from the environmental professional from Enviromed. So abatement is complete. The clean demo inside the building, we've pretty much gutted everything short of perimeter walls and steel and the roof structure. So we'll be going into demo on the outside. We've already started some of that. Some of that's underway now. Divorcing ourselves of the police station. We've got some of that work already completed. The walkway protection, we've got that set up on the west side of the new town hall. That's an extra precaution that we're taking so that anybody exiting that building on that side is protected during the course of the demo of the old town hall. As far as work in progress, I mentioned the gym wall padding here. That work's actually completed. We did push the gym equipment guys to come in on Sunday. They came in this past Sunday. They worked between Sunday and Monday to finish up the wall padding. So as far as other work in progress, we're working through the last batch of changes that we presented at the last committee meeting. I believe we're only down to a couple of the change orders. We're just waiting for more material to come in. One of the items that comes to mind is the mesh partition that's going around the data cabinet in the gym. We're tracking those pieces. They're supposed to be coming in next week. And then working our way through the remaining punch list items. We've got between, I'm going to say 40 and 50 punch list items. We're going through those. Some of the items that the town has brought to our attention are considered changes in scope, and we are addressing those with some of the changes we're presenting tonight. And I believe the design team is also working on some other items so that we can price as well as part of the list of items that the owner has given us. Okay, so work to start the stair 2 rubber. You know, I mentioned this a few times that this has been a problem. We finally have most of the material, and we have it on site. The rest of the material, I'm happy to say, is at our vendor shop, who is local, and he's prepared to come in this weekend to go through with the installation of that rubber in stairwell number 2. The hydro seeding has already started. It started yesterday. We got a good chunk of it done. With the significant rainfall that we had and wind, we held off today. I understand he is coming back tomorrow to pick up where he left off. We do have the hydro seeding to do on the north and south side of the building. And then obviously the heavy demo, we're looking to get that underway very shortly. We have a couple of cut and cap of the utilities going into the building to do. We were supposed to have Eversource out today. Unfortunately, with the storm, they were addressing other issues, and we're trying to get them to come back hopefully the next couple days. Don't have a schedule yet, but we obviously need them back to give us the sign off. And then I understand MDC is coming tomorrow to inspect the temporary protection that we have set up at the sanitary storm piping going into the boiler room. Other critical items, again, just getting through the demo. We've been working AAIS on Saturday to work through the abatement to get to the point we're at right now. We have gone through some, what I'm going to call enabling work, where we encountered certain things that had to be either moved out of the way completely or reconfigured. And we're managing that fairly well, I'm going to say. But as a result of dealing with that, we lost some time, and we're just simply working the weekends to recoup some of that time and get it back on track in terms of the building demo. The balance of phase 2 activities, obviously getting the rest of the work completed once the building demo is done. We're still planning to pull this off by the end of the year. That is the hope. Obviously, weather plays into it. We'll keep a close eye on it. Any questions on the schedule?
Frank, I had a question on their work completed, the gym bleachers. So that resolves the concern of the town manager, correct? That's a permanent solution on the way they're going to be presented?
Yeah, so we revisited the bleachers and addressing the clearance issues that we had, and we were able to work with our vendor to make permanent modifications so that we wouldn't have any kind of maintenance issue in the gym, worrying about, the configurations of the bleachers. Modifications we made are permanent, so it shouldn't create any issue.
And I saw Mr. Pelletier's comments that he was fine with it, so we're good to go on that then.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions on those areas, Frank?
Mr. Chairman, both Mr. Minor and Councilor Pedrejko have their hands raised.
Okay, Gail and then Craig. Craig. Mr. Minor, go ahead, please.
I'm just curious about the ADA compliance issues with the gym divider. Was that something that was overlooked? And about how much is that going to add?
Hopefully it won't add anything. What I'm hoping is it's just a hardware adjustment that we can make to the doors. So like I said, we've addressed the concern or the issue with the vendor, and we're just waiting for some feedback. I hope it's an adjustment we can make to the top of the door so that the door can be simply pulled from one side to meet ADA compliance. It's really just one side that we have the issue on, the pull side of the door. I'm hoping it's just a simple adjustment.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just two things quick, Frank. One is on the ADA egress modifications on the bleachers. Do you happen to know what the final net loss was in terms of seating? I don't think it was much, but do you know what it is?
Off the top of my head, Chris.
I thought it was 64.
I was gonna say 68, but
Okay,
Okay.
we'll take your number.
maybe Chris O'Neill can comment on that if Chris
Yep.
is on.
Yeah, Frank, I'm here. I think the overall was 32. We took away one row from 2 banks of bleachers and then removed 2 handicap spots. So actually, I think it's 34 total spots.
Oh, it's far less than the original assessment.
Correct. Yeah, the original was going to be 64, but we wound
Yeah,
up.
okay.
Okay, great. And the second thing for Frank is on the demo contractor's contract, working weekends and potentially 2 shifts, I know was a discussion. Is there premium time involved or is that all within their contract?
The premium time is not within their contract. We are working them on Saturdays. You know, they did bring in some more guys to work guys during the week. We are covering some of the premium time out of our contingency because
Okay.
of some of the enabling work that we've encountered.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
You good, Chris?
Yep, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on the items just reviewed? Okay, Frank, go ahead, please.
Okay, so if there's no more questions on schedule, we could jump right into the COPs. Like I said, I've got 9 COPs up for approval this evening, starting with 249. This is to get standby power to NCTV. This was a request from the town, so we're simply taking power from the standby panel that's in pretty close proximity to NCTV and bringing it into one of the rooms there within NCTV for $3,842.01. COP 286.
Excuse me,
this-
Frank, before you jump ahead, are there any questions with respect to that issue? Or change order? It's been there for a while and had various modifications made. Is everyone clear on that one? Okay, Frank.
Okay, so 286 is to swap out lock bodies at basically all the department entries, you know, assessor, tax collector, registrar of voters. Swap out the lock set so there is a key override feature. Unfortunately, when we initially looked at this condition, we thought we could just add a key override to the existing lock. Unfortunately, with this particular lock body, we can't do that. We have to get brand new lock sets. So there is more time involved to remove and obviously replace with new lock bodies. There's 21 locations here for $8,892.07. 288. So we were holding out on the credits for the gym equipment until we got through the scope, and we're finally through all of the scope as it relates to the gymnasium. So the credit that we were carrying, and I think there was 11 or 12,000 left within this COP, is offset by some of the ads that would include the modifications that we made to the bleachers. And part of this is setting up plywood protection over the floor to work because of some of the delays we experienced through the COVID situation, and also offset by the power we had to run for the 2 shot clocks. So
That's the net number?
That's the net, yeah, 2,386.09 is what we came out to. 292 has to do with adjustments, final adjustments on the outside for camera locations and WAP locations. This basically happens around the building where we have cast stone. Believe there's some masonry involved. The good news is this price is not based on just patching items. If we're affecting cast stone, we're taking stone out and replacing with new stone. So this price is based on, I think, 6 or 7 pieces of new cast stone. There's obviously coring involved. There's recabling involved. And there's also a couple allowances involved in this COP that are really just set aside as cut and patch inside the building. That's kind of a hard item to quantify. So we're carrying allowances in that COP. Whatever we don't spend, we'll track the time in the field. Whatever we don't spend, we will credit back to the town. So right now that totals $21,559 with the allowances built in. The next item, 301, that's the plaque. I understand that was a request from the town and we followed through on that. We did get a design from Quisenberry. That's what this price is based on, to do a bronze plaque. I think it's roughly a 18 inch by 20 inch plaque for $2,583. And then 309 is most of the reconciliation that I've done going over the various trade contractors within the GMP. And I believe I mentioned this at the last committee meeting. Most of that credit, the $56,880, most of that is from the plumbing subcontractor. When we went through the value management exercise, if you guys recall from way back when we presented the initial GMP, we had some value management and we didn't credit all of the plumbing line item back at that point in time. And so now we are in the, so there's the credit of $56,880, about 49,000 of that is associated with plumbing. 311. So this is part of phase 2. This is to move line sets for the police station. There's a data room in the police station. It was fed by a condenser that was in the old town hall. It was in a crawl space. So this is to get a new condenser. Unfortunately, the one that was in the old town hall was pretty beat up and wasn't suitable to be outside. So we're getting a new condenser, new line sets, and pipe to outside the police station for $19,003.15. And then 317 was to swap out thresholds at the gym. This is the exterior door on the south side. This is just to get a wider threshold to deal with the condition there. That's coming out of the CM contingency. 319 is a request from the town to add another scoreboard controller. We have one as part of the project. This is to add another one for $1,254. So all in with the 9 COPs, because of the sizable credit from COP 309, we get to a net add of $2,640.66.
Are there any questions of Frank on those?
No, Don Woods, I have a question.
Yes, Don.
On the commemorative plaque, has there been any discussion on what goes on that or what's said on that, or?
All the members are listed on it. I can send you a copy of the draft of it. The town manager's name is on there. Downs is on there. It's quite attractive. I meant to send that out to you. I got busy with some of my own business, so I will get that out to everybody.
Okay, then another question. This is for Frank. As they're replacing those pieces of stone that you were talking about, were they damaged in the construction phase, transportation phase, or manufacturing phase? And then the second part of the question is, what happens as the building ages? Is that going to be a problem, if, for example, if it was a bad batch, or is that something that is not likely to happen? I never was quite clear on that.
So the stone that I mentioned we're only replacing because we are moving cameras that are the wire is poked through the stone. It's not because of a quality issue.
All right, thank you.
Anything else, Don?
Nope, that's it.
You good? Okay. Anyone else?
Councilor Minor has his hand raised, and then Councilor Bedrejko.
Chris, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple, I don't know, is Mark on from Colliers? Schweitzer?
Yes, he is.
Okay, Mark.
Chris, I am on.
Okay, as the usual, the couple issues here, 286 jumps out at me. There are a couple that maybe errors or omissions, or just want to make sure they're getting tracked?
These
Okay.
are being tracked.
Okay, and the second thing is on the condenser that's being relocated, is that actually part of the PD, or is it going to be part of the completed PD? I'm still a little gray on exactly what that was servicing, Frank.
It's intended for, my understanding is it's intended for a data room that serves the PD.
Okay,
was,
so that's
For the cooling system in particular.
all right.
Correct.
So that's actually it'll technically be in the other building, correct?
Well, the condenser will sit outside the police station. But
Okay.
it's for the police station, not the town hall.
Okay, I'm questioning whether or not that should go on to this project, or if it just should be a life cycle replacement with CIP. All right, never mind. I don't want to gray it up, but I think that's something that really shouldn't be on us.
Okay.
Mr.
Any other-
Chairman, Mr. Patat has his hand raised, maybe
Okay.
relative to a topic.
All right, I had Gail next, I believe, though, and I'll get to that.
You did, correct.
Gail, please, go ahead.
Yeah, on change order 292, I'm just curious, on the actual description, it says out of scope. Now, were those cameras, were they not included in the original design, or were they included in the wrong place? I mean, because 21,000 is somewhat significant. I'm just curious what happened.
So we adjusted camera locations based on the town's needs. And unfortunately, the needs that we're aware of now don't match up with the original locations that we had on the drawings.
Okay, so it was like our oversight or design oversight.
It's
Paul, can you bring some input on that? Are you on?
I am on. Thank you, Paul Boutat. To answer Councilor Bradraco's question, we had identified our outside wireless access point location as well as camera early on in the design phase. DTC subcontracted D'Agostino and Associates. D'Agostino and Associates located the placement of where the data locations were for those items. However, they did not review elevations and or structures of the building, so those items ended up on the construction drawings in the wrong locations or in locations that were obstructed. I believe Mark Schweitzer is actually tracking that as far as E&O, because that definitely, as far as I'm concerned, is not the town's error or omission on our part. It is a design issue early on from the subcontractor.
Okay. Thank you. And then I have one more question. Actually, Joe, you did send, or in the package, there was a design of the plaque.
Oh, it's in there, okay.
Yeah, and it looks wonderful and whatever, but I notice there have been a lot of iterations of the building committee, for example, and I'm not it might be a suggestion, certainly not for the Mill Pond Park fiasco, but for members who are more heavily included, who are no longer on this particular committee, I feel that maybe they should be recognized on this as well.
I did have a conversation or an email sent to the design team to create a smaller plaque that would include immediate past members. So I had contacted Jimmy Marachini and had a conversation with him. He had no objection to it.
Okay.
I got a hold of Whit, believe it or not. It was a very short conversation.
Okay, no, I just wanted to make sure that some of those people,
Mr. Nagel's on there as well.
right, so that
If
they
you
would.
have other names, let me know, but that was the immediate pass from the previous.
From the new committee, after the referendum of the failed one.
That's
Okay,
correct.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Ed Murtha, I've got one.
Yes,
Joe.
Ed, go ahead, please.
On the work to start in phase 2, the hydro seeding, do we have irrigation scheduled for that area also?
irrigation, new irrigation is not something that this project included.
So there's no sprinkler system there?
Correct.
Okay.
It's a concern for the area. The area, I'm told, is so limit in its design that makes irrigation difficult, but I would agree that if we have some funds left over, possibly out of contingency, we should consider something. And I guess I would defer to Mr. Woods' expertise in that area. Don, would you be,
If you want a nice lawn and you're not gonna be able to water.
sorry, I can hardly hear you, sir.
Oh, sorry. How about right now?
Are you there? Oh, there you go.
Okay. So the answer to the question is, to have a successful lawn, you need water. You need water, routine mowing, and regular fertilization. So if you're asking me if it's necessary, then I would say yes.
Okay.
I think it was looked at, wasn't it? I think Park Rec or Bill.
There was
Don, I can't hear you.
I don't know why.
If you, yeah, right there, I think we can hear if you speak from that position you're in.
Or maybe, all right, let me try this. How's that?
There you go.
Okay. So did you hear anything?
Go ahead. Why don't you repeat that, please?
Okay, so if you're asking me if a lawn sprinkler system is critical to establishing and maintaining a lawn, the answer is yes. You can do it manually, but it costs a lot more and it never gets done because there's many other projects that take priority over watering grass. So the answer is yes, it should be a necessary part of this project, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
Show Mr. Schweitzer has his hand up, Mr. Batat still does, and Counselor Minor now does.
Okay, Mark, go ahead, please.
That was can you hear me?
Yes.
I was trying to hit 6 and I hit the 9. You can take my hand down.
Okay. Mr. Minor and then Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I know that the conversation did arise not that long ago regarding the irrigation system. I believe that Parks and Rec was tasked with at least establishing an estimate to do it. So hopefully that is something with additional funding left on our contingencies that we're able to accomplish that. And the time to do it without, with the least amount of interruption, everything else would be why the lawn area is still immature and growing. But I know that the library section adjacent to the new parking lot is an irrigation set as well. So it would be nice to just tie the whole thing in together if we're able to. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Paul, please.
Yes, I just wanted to speak to Counselor Minor's question before regarding the split unit that is inside the data room or the communications room for the police department. That was installed by the town quite a few years ago, as far as probably over, coming up on 10 years. And it was inside a crawl space of the inside of the building. So that particular unit is in a very inhospitable location, moisture and whatnot. I don't think that trying to move that or relocate it would have worked. So in this case, it was identified early on during the design with DTC that unit would have had to be either relocated or replaced. I think moving it would probably cause the unit to probably deteriorate or fall apart. And I think they would have a hard time trying to get it back online. And that's why it was proposed to replace that particular unit. The existing unit that on the rooftop that services the dispatch area is a 3.5 ton unit. When that building was originally built, that was spec'd out to call for a 6 ton unit. However, it was downsized by the building committee or through the project with value engineering, which resulted in the inability of that unit to cool that communications room and dispatch. So that's why that secondary unit was added in there to supplement the cooling.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
Hey, Paul, what's the longevity of that unit? You said the other one was 10 years.
It could be, it's been in there probably, I'd say a year after the PD was built. So I have to go back and take a look at that. But at that point, I would say that, it's probably even older than the 10 years. So it probably went in there about a year after that. The AC on the rooftop could not keep that room and dispatch cool because it had only one branch or coming off the trunk on that and to bring air in that particular area.
So we could figure 10 plus years for longevity for a new unit?
I would say that, yeah, most of those split units, I think they're at least probably about a 15-year warranty on life.
All right.
Okay.
Eddie, did you have any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Joe, just one last comment on Paul's remarks.
Mr. Minor.
Is it make sense, Paul, to do that through CIP as a replacement for that unit for that building? Because it really has nothing to do with this project outside of it would have been relocated, but I'm just trying to watch our budget the best we can, and this seems to fall outside the purview of our budget.
Again, we can discuss that with the town manager or finance department, take a look and see if that's the direction that they would want to go into. We looked at it from the initial discussion when we walked through with DTC and the renovation portion of what was going to take place in the police department, and that those items were accounted for in the project. So it appears now that we don't have it accounted for in the project. So it wasn't a budgeted item because it was discussed with DTC at the time that the unit would possibly have to be relocated or replaced. But we're still left with heating and cooling for the other remaining locations in that building. As they discussed earlier on, there's heating that was tied to the old boiler system that is within the mezzanine and or staircase locations that go up to that the 3-4 offices and storage space up top that we still are going to have to evaluate, because after we take the building down and then renovate the facade, we still have some spaces either that may need HVAC or heating taken care of before we can actually use that space.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. I think it's clear what happened. Those conversations didn't get transposed.
Okay, but what is the scope of the contract called for?
I'm sorry, who is it?
That was Councilor Minor.
Other question?
Joe, no, I was just asking what the contract called for, what the scope of the contract said. So it's either in the contract or it's not.
It was, the condenser and the sprinklers were not.
Okay.
They weren't in the plans for some reason. The demo team in cooperation with Downs discovered that situation. And the condenser was worn out, so that's
okay.
The condenser. That's how that happened. Is the honest answer.
Joe,
okay, any other
here.
questions?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. O'Neill has his hand raised.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a final comment about the condensing unit. I talked to Tom Arcari earlier today, and he was made aware of that issue, and he indicated that the original plan for that was it would be a CIP project that David Langdon would have taken on throughout the project. So that's why it was not included in our documents.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, any other questions on this group of items?
It looks like Mr. Minor may have his hand raised again. I'm not sure.
Mr. Minor? No? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to take action on the change order request. Mr. Mortensen, would you like to make that motion?
Yeah, I move that we accept COP 249 through 319 for a total of $2,640.66.
And is there a second?
I'll second that, Ed Murtha.
Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. All right.
Okay, Frank, you can move on, please.
Okay, so
Hold it, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to also have a motion to take action on fund transfers. Mr. Barron?
Yes, I'll be looking for a motion to transfer $2,640.66 from account number 31109912, which is the contingency account, to account 3110 9911, which is the construction account.
Okay, Mr. Murphy, would you like to make that motion, please? You don't need to include the account numbers, just say the appropriate accounts.
Thank God, I couldn't remember all those numbers. Yeah, I'd like to make that motion, please.
That's a second, please.
Second, Rod Mortensen.
Okay, any discussion? Please indicate by saying aye.
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 You're all set, Mr. Barron.
Thank you.
Yes. Frank, please continue with your
Yeah, okay,
presentation.
thanks, Joe. So yeah, orders of magnitude is next, pending revisions, changes we're working on behind the scenes, if you will, with our subcontractors or the design team. Starting with 251, there's been some reiterations of the signage package throughout the building. I believe Chris has made some final touches on the signage revisions, and we just received that information. So that is into our vendor for pricing. And we've given it a rough order of magnitude right now of about 2,300. 266, that is to deal with the flagpole brackets. We've put this back in the design team's court to evaluate, because we've got tapered flagpoles. However, the taper is only about 18 feet. The flagpole is 30 feet, and the butt diameter of the flagpole is about 6 inches. So the bracket's got to be revisited so that it could fit the butt diameter of the flagpole. So
Can I ask a question about that, Frank? 266. Probably ask it of Mr. O'Neill. Is this such a unique design that we seems to have a continuing issue with the flagpole installation, Chris? Has it been tough to find the corresponding parts, or?
It is an atypical flagpole installation. It's a typical flagpole of this size is a vertical flagpole, and there's plenty of off-the-shelf installation brackets that come with these type of flagpoles. But to kind of have them at a 5-degree angle as our design is, it requires some extra engineering in order to make that work. And unfortunately, it kind of has snowballed a little bit in some of these iterations in order to make it fit with the prefabricated flagpole.
So Frank, are we pretty satisfied that this 8,463 is going to be it now with regards to this item, or is there, I mean, do you
I
have
hope
anything
so.
you need for information to price it, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, I'm just putting a rough order of magnitude on it.
Right.
I haven't seen anything come through yet from the design team. You know, I'm anticipating something. If there's something more custom that comes from the design team, I'll have to revisit this number, but I feel pretty comfortable because I think we're at a point now where we're just simply revisiting how to modify the bracket that's there to accommodate the flagpole. So,
Any other committee members have comment on 266?
Mr. Chairman, Ed Murtha,
Yes,
will
sir.
that flagpole have lighting on it for nighttime flying if needed?
yes, we have lighting. We did incorporate that in a previous change, so there will be lights mounted. There's 2 flagpoles that will be mounted on the face of the west side of the building. Yes, so to answer your question, yes, there will be lighting on both flagpoles.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Go ahead, Frank.
Okay, the next one is getting ventilation in the human services area. We've got a storage room within the human services department that has some very large refrigerators. And looking at this, it's clear that we need to get some more ventilation in that space to take care of the heat load from these large refrigerators. There's also some cost in there to deal with the power for the units. That's also part of that rough order of magnitude for 6,876. 302 was to deal with, and I believe I mentioned this one before, to deal with some additional floor mastic. Through some discussions with our demo and abatement subcontractor, we were able to make this go away, make it 0, and we'll put that back into the owner's contingency. to 3,174. And then 307 and I believe 308 are reconciliations of some internal allowances that we held to the side, for one for temp toilets, and I believe the other one on the next page is the dumpsters. So I'm holding that. I'm anticipating those credits. They may be a little bit higher as we get towards the end of the project, but we'll be holding those till the end, and we'll do a final reconciliation on those allowances at that time. And then 312, I mentioned the expediting coming out of CM contingency. That's what COP 312 is. There's a site drainage credit that we are earmarking here in the budget. We're chasing down our site work subcontractor to get a credit for some of the site drainage. I believe this was on the south side of the new town hall. So that's in our site work subcontractor's court right now. 315 has to do with the cracked condensate tank that was in the basement of the new town hall that was replaced. Again, this is a rough order of magnitude, roughly 2,500 to deal with that removal and replacement. And then there's rework of the sanitary, not the sanitary, this is just the storm, to basically add a storm line along the north side. There's obviously some trenching there. There's over 200 feet of pipe, and that is necessary to go ahead with the demo starting on the north side. That's what that's going to enable us to do. It pales in comparison to having to wait to do that work. Getting this work done now. We've got to put in this pipe on the north side because it's just going to make the demo proceed based on the schedule that we've generated to try and pull this off this year.
No, you have that listed as a rework, so are you saying that the initial design for the draining was not what was going to carry the day on the north side? From what you were looking at initially on the plans, or how did that develop into a rework situation?
Yeah, I guess rework is probably the wrong word to use there, because we're basically installing a new line. We're not necessarily reworking.
Okay, I thought something got installed improperly.
No, that's my fault. I probably shouldn't have said rework there.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Murtha.
Hey Frank, what size pipe are you going to use and what type?
That's a good question. I just placed a rough order of magnitude on this. I don't have all the specifics on it just yet.
Okay, could you get back to us on that?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I had a quick question on 300, the additional HVAC for human services refrigerators. Is that, we didn't anticipate the refrigerators of the size they were? Is that what happened there?
So
As they are?
based on the plans, this particular room that we're talking about within human services was supposed to be a storage room. And then over the course of the move, when human services moved into the space, they put in refrigerators that we didn't anticipate. So.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions of Frank on those items he just reviewed?
I'm not sure. Councilor Minor does have his hand raised, and now Councilor Bertreko does as well.
I'll yield the floor. Go ahead, Gil.
Go ahead, Gail.
You're muted.
Okay, on the next page, the change order regarding the cracked condenser pipe in the basement. Now that was what was causing the water?
Which COP are you referring to?
315?
Yes, there was some water in the basement. Yes, that was caused by this cracked condensate tank.
Now, if it was cracked, shouldn't, I mean, who's paying for that? Was it an installation? Was it defective? What happened?
It looks like it was damaged after we installed it, as if somebody had kicked it or ran into it with something.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Gil. Mr. Minor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so it seems as if the main issue on the storm drain is they're essentially proposing to add a second line versus there was only one originally scheduled, correct? Am I right on that, Frank?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and this would allow the demolition to start before the rest of that were to be installed.
That's
So I think
correct.
they're planning on doing it in two different sections, which wouldn't slow the project down. And it would also allow us to be able to remove those temporary overflows on the east side of the building, correct?
You're exactly right.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions of Frank on these?
Mr.
Frank,
Button
will you
has
be
his hand raised.
stepping into an existing catch basin or adding another one
Mr.
with this
Murphy?
new line?
There's a new storm structure being placed.
Okay.
I just want to point out, I think Paul Boutot actually pointed it out earlier, and it's not accounted for right now in this list of pending changes, but the issue of the heat in the stairwell on the backside of the police station. So we do need to investigate that. I know we've done some field investigation, so we do need to figure out what the cost implications of that's going to be. Getting heat into the stairwell, somehow fed by the police station. I'm not sure how that's going to happen just yet, but we need to look at that closer. And then lighting in the same stairwell. We're going to put in some temporary lights, but we're going to have to look at recircuiting the lights that are there, because right now I believe they're fed from the old town hall. So there's going to be some rework of the lighting as well. That's all.
Okay. Just going back to 318. So what do we have there now? A temporary system?
Yeah, so we're temporarily tied in. We have a storm sanitary combination pipe in the boiler room, the old boiler room.
All right. Okay, Frank, please proceed.
Mr. Boutot has his hand raised.
Yes, Paul, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just had a question or a comment on COP 315 on crack condensation component. You're assuming that it was cracked and it was cracked by somebody in the town hall, I guess, in your statement. We look at that and basically say that the basement has been restricted access for us. Any material that's been put inside there has been put off to the side away from where that water leak was at. So I guess we're just trying to determine, finger pointing here. How did it get? You've had tradespeople, you've had plumbers in there, you've had, electricians.
I didn't say townspeople. It's hard for, it could be a townsperson, it could be one of our subs, but quite honestly, I'm not sure how the damage was done. I know that when we installed it and turned it over, the tank was not cracked. So.
Okay. Like the many mysteries of this project, we move on. Go ahead, Frank.
All right, really nothing to report under rejected COPs. There's nothing there that hasn't already been discussed. Under requisitions, I'm working through the September requisition, working through pencil requisition that I will get over to Mark and Chris by the end of the week. Percentage-wise from the bill, because we're still preparing it, I think we're roughly 88% complete with the project as a whole.
And when would you anticipate you be going back for the CO on the gym/community center?
Well, like I mentioned before, we've got this door handle issue. And like I said, I'm hoping it's really just an adjustment that we can make. We were planning to have another inspection tomorrow. I believe our superintendent has one scheduled with the local inspector at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And if we can just make an adjustment, we have the signage, then we should be able to get TCO tomorrow. But if it's something else and we need different hardware, then, you know, we're gonna have to look into that and figure out what it's gonna take to get new hardware.
And when you said, well, and then everything else in terms of equipment setup, the flooring of the gym is all settled as an entity. It's just pretty much settled, correct? Other than these items you just discussed.
Yeah, the floor is done. I mentioned we have one motor that's gonna have to be swapped out. That's on order. And I believe we've got some end caps on the bleachers that didn't come with the shipment. So we have those pieces on order. We're waiting for those pieces to come in, and we're told that it's gonna be a few days.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Arcari has his hand raised.
All right, Tom, go ahead, please.
Frank, Tom here. Hey, I'm aware of the issue with the door handle on the man doors in the partition. Those doors do not physically need to be there programmatically or code-wise. The question I have is, if that's the last thing that's going to hold up the TCO, can we take the doors off the hinges and leave the opening until the hardware issue is resolved?
I mean, that's a great suggestion. I don't have a problem with that. I just don't know if the local inspector is gonna take an issue with that for whatever reason. But I like the way you're thinking, Tom.
Oh, what would be your view on that?
That'd be entirely up to the building official. That's not my area to make a comment on. I can give him, my thoughts on it. I'm sure the town manager will give him his thoughts on it. As far as whether for the temporary CO versus the permanent. I know that the partition was, spec'd as far as the Parks and Recreation team, in order to have two gyms and to have audio separated between the two locations while games are running.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Minor has his hand raised.
Minor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, just as a quick clarification, because I did run across this on something else, is those doors are not code required. It would be definitely a programming concern as to whether or not they were required, but by code, they're not.
Okay. All right, any other questions of Frank?
Mr. Chairman, Ed Murtha.
Yes.
Hey, Frank, when can we expect like a grand opening after everything's said and done?
The grand opening of the gym?
The town hall, everything done.
Done. Well, our schedule takes us through the end of the year. By the time we get the building down and we get the parking lot situated, won't be till the end of the year.
How about the town hall portion, the new portion?
That's been open.
Some of it.
Open to the public?
Well, I don't know. That's a question for the town.
Yeah, that would be up to the town manager, and COVID-19 plays a role, obviously, in it. So
Okay.
see how that virus goes. Okay. Any other business pertinent to the committee?
Just a moment, Mr. Chairman. Frank, did you want to go over your photos?
Yeah, I suppose we can go over the photos since I sent them over to you guys.
Go ahead, Frank. And then Gail, you can ask your question right after we see the photos.
So there's a photo for Ed, show you the finished product of the town hall, the grand hall. Looks like in this particular photo, the facilities crew has polished the tile. They've got looks like a sealer or a wax on the floor. It looks great. I walked through there today, and it's a nice shot. Next photo, close up of the finished product within the Parks and Rec kitchen. And like I mentioned before, we did have our inspection And I believe we had the inspection about a week ago. We're still waiting for the TCO from the town. Shouldn't be any issues there. We did the hood training earlier, and that's good to go at this point.
Where's that infamous ice cream machine?
You can see it there underneath the cabinets. It's there.
Priorities. Okay.
I want some ice cream. That's what I want. I want a hot fudge sundae when we're done.
Refer to.
I should get at least a hot fudge sundae out of this.
There you go. Maybe you will.
I'll make it work.
They're small.
All right.
Go ahead.
Next photo. James, are you able to put the next one up? Yeah. Okay, that's just a shot looking the other way. You can see this, the range in the background, the commercial fridge that sits on the back wall. Ready to go. There's the gym. So this photo was taken, I believe, Sunday or Monday, because I told you that the guys were coming in over the weekend. So this was taken right after. You can see the floor, the shiny new floor, all the gym equipment, the bleachers stacked. We did have final cleaners in there today, just doing a final cleanup. We'll go to the next photo. Just another angle. You can see the divider in between those two bleacher sections on the south wall. Just another angle with the windows in the background, now looking at the west side. And then this was just trying to give you guys an idea of some of the demo that we've done around the old town hall. There's not much to really show, but you could see the windows have been taken out along the gym where we had the PCB caulk removal. All the windows have been removed there. This is the scaffold protection walkway that I was referring to earlier to protect people coming out of the west side of the building in an emergency exit type of situation. And that's your old lobby, the old town hall. You can see all the windows out. You can see right into the lobby there. That was just another shot looking the other way of the walkway. Extends basically the whole length of the west side of the new town hall. That's a close-up shot of the saw cut. We are now doing some of the surgical demo as we divorce ourselves from the police station. That's some of the handwork that we've done to start the separation of the two buildings. And then you could just see a close-up inside the town hall. We've pretty much gutted the building at this point and really positioned ourselves to go right into demo at this point of the perimeter walls and overhead structure. That's another cut of the police station. We're standing up on the roof. Again, just another cut to show you the surgical removal that we have to do before we start the heavy demo.
Hey Frank, where's all this demo material going?
Good question. I can find out for you, Ed. I don't know the answer to that. You talking about the scrap material?
Yeah, everything, yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
This one is just to show you the chimney. I think, some of you had questions on how that was going to be handled, and we are going to get a lift in there. We'll do a significant amount of that by hand off of a lift. We'll get most of that chimney down to the building level. We'll do that by hand down to the building level. And then from there, we'll take it down as part of the mass demo. And what I was trying to show you guys here, just looking inside. Now you're inside the old gym. You can see the pile of rubble there. Trying to give you a sense of how much demo has gone on inside the building. And then just another angle showing you the walkway extending down the west side of the new town hall.
And that's the end of your photos.
Okay.
Frank, have you at this point been able to take that time capsule out, or how's that going to be managed?
The time,
So I thought was already out.
Oh, it's
yeah, we
out?
removed the time capsule. It's stored in my vault currently, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, okay, great. In good hands. All right.
What's in it?
Gail, you had a question, please.
Yeah, I was just wondering, are you going to be going full construction staff on election day on November 3rd? Because, you know, the town hall is a polling place and there will be, you know, more cars and more public there than usual.
It shouldn't affect our activities at the old town hall.
Okay, so in terms of, you know, liability or falling material or anything, okay. Just curious.
Mr. Murtha, did you have another question or comment?
No, I'm all set.
Okay. All right, Frank, thank you for the tour.
Mr. Minor has his hand raised.
Yes, Mr. Minor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Frank, real quick, gross demolition estimate, a few weeks out?
I'm hoping it's just another week. Like I said, we're waiting for some cut and cap activities to happen. And, you know, I know our super Chuck Smith is working behind the scenes to try to get that done this week and go into demo, you know, next week.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
And again, Eversource slowed us down a little bit because they couldn't come out today.
Right.
All right. Public participation. Do we have any public participation?
We do have one, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Go ahead and state your name and address, please.
For just a moment, Ms. Hines.
Hello, it's Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive.
Hi, Rose. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I hope you all are as well. Just a question. The pictures that were shown tonight, are there any pictures available on the town website for residents to look at? I know that a couple members of NCTV went in at one point and did a video, and I was hoping perhaps that someone else would go in and do an official video of at least some of the portions of the town hall that aren't open to the public, which I guess is most of them. And I think the residents might like to see something before the first of the year. If COVID's going to carry through the fall and the winter, we may not be able to get into the town hall and see the fruits of our tax dollars. Just a suggestion. And as far as the plaque, I know you mentioned that the town manager's name would be on it and the committee members, and that there would be another plaque with previous members. I'm hoping, and I'm sure that you've thought of this, I don't think that you will ever overlook Jeff Barron. I hope his name is going to be on there because of all the years that I've been going, he's been the one steady influence on the committee, gone through many, many members and so forth and so on. So I just...
I can confirm to you that Mr. Barron's name is there.
I am sure that it was going to be, but when I only heard town manager and the members of the committee, I wanted to be sure.
Good. I'm glad you asked the question. Thank you.
Yeah. And then there'll be a third plaque with my name.
Yes.
Is that correct? Yeah, I thought maybe you guys would want to put it on there just in case. And all right, then, I hope you all are staying safe and staying well. Thank you for the time you've put in, and I can't wait to be able to walk through those doors and see what I've been envisioning for 8 years now. Thank you very much.
You'll be happy, Rose.
Thanks,
Oh.
Rose.
Any other members of the public?
At this point, nobody else has their hand raised.
Okay, thank you. Comments by committee members?
Mr. Mortensen.
Yes, Joe, a comment and a question. The comment is just, I think more for future building committees, if they look at how the town hall went. I know we may possibly be having the Anna Reynolds School, maybe possibly in the future, the library, Mill Pond, et cetera. Here's a perfect example. What we've talked about in the issue of this condenser for the police department. And Paul Boutot said, and if it's correct, and I'm assuming it is, that when the police department was built, that they had spec'd a 6-ton AC unit for the building. And it was value engineered down to I think he said a 3 or 3.5 ton unit, which then precipitated putting in this condenser inside a crawl space, where it's not supposed to be, which now has to be moved, et cetera, et cetera. So just as a comment, value engineering, and we've seen it with some issues with the town hall, can be a two-headed sword. So it's something that you have to really be careful about. And the question I had was, maybe it's more for me, Eddie Murtha, who's by phone. I don't know about Chris Minor. The next reopening phase of Connecticut, which I think is supposed to happen the 5th or the 8th of October, it is going to allow governmental meetings as one of the parameters now that can be opened up. And I don't know how the committee members feel or whatever, but I'd like to put at least out for discussion when that happens, if people feel safe enough with masks and social distancing, that we can go back to in-person meetings. We can still do Zoom for the public, et cetera, which I've seen in other towns doing.
Okay, thank you, Rod.
Especially as we get to near the end of the project there.
All right, thank you. We'll look at that. Anyone else?
Mr. Minor has his hand raised.
Mr. Minor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, as far as the in-person meetings go, that was something that was discussed as recently as, I believe, last week or 2 weeks ago. There still is a hesitation as a result of a group meeting that occurred, that there was a positive test, which kind of got everybody in the meeting locked down for a period of time. So that's, I know, the only concern. I would ask the chair if he'd be willing to breach the subject again with the town manager, especially in light of the new state guidance, to see if he could reach out to Charles Brown and get his input to see if that's possible, because it is, I think, worthwhile for us to be able to meet in person and be able to be within the facility that we've worked so hard on for the last 2 years.
For sure. I'll be happy to have that discussion with them. I, for one, am all zoomed out. I'll just see you all again in person. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have a good evening and a good week.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
I know.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.